I always thought I was having an inner dialogue with myself. But I had noticed a few things over my lifetime and that I hadn't necessarily acknowledged for myself. If you're like me, you would be the child that was treated very specially by adults, but not by children. You would have been, I mean, they would say, you are so smart, you are, you know, you can do this. They're very encouraging, even more so than they might be to other children. You you notice things quickly. I notice things young. I think I talked about it in one of my other videos, one of my downloads or one of my uploads. For me, it's an upload. Uh, that at when I don't know how old I was, maybe 2, maybe 1. I remember how I could manipulate my mother. Sorry, mom. But that's when I remember that's when I became conscious, because I realized that it wasn't just me. I have other memories of just seeing, but not. And I remember very vividly when I got the picture with reading and just, so I was gifted, but not gifted. Okay. Wasn't the highly gifted. I was not the highly gifted. I was this other gifted. I was the gifted that could be moved out of the class gifted when you have another friend who's gifted and you guys talk too much, and then I was the one that had to leave the program, not her. I guess they looked at her IQ, I heard, and it was higher than mine. But anyway, so go on. Normal kid, but just not too popular, not too, but whatever. Uh, I never thought of myself as special, but I did have this very strong sense of right and wrong. I had a um, like a knowing sometimes. Like I knew from beginning my consciousness that lying was the worst thing you could do. It was the worst thing you could do, because if you lied, I mean, well, okay, now, but then it was the worst thing you could do, not because of what it did to other people, but because of what you what it would bring back to you, your repercussions, your karma. So why even do that? Like that was, I mean, from a very young age, and every time I as a kid tried to lie, it was just like, no, I'm sorry, ma, I took the cookie or whatever. But lying is just, mm, that's just something. And a strong sense of fairness, a strong sense of unity, all of these things very strong. Like, I don't know, your character, right? So I had a character as an adult. I realized that other adults saw that, and as a child, I had a character without being too moralistic, without having stick up my ass. Okay. So what am I saying here? What I'm saying is, I know now, I know that there are other people like me because I met one before I left Minnesota. Very just a year before, no, 6 months before I left Minnesota, really. And she was just like me. I didn't go to college. I'm supposed to have this high IQ. I've been able to achieve a lot of things, a lot of turmoil, ridiculously stupid romantic relationships and choices, um, super logical, kind of Aristotle philosopher loving dad, and like a black hippie mom. That's where I was raised, and didn't turn out like either of them, but incredibly like both of them. So what I'm saying is, my mom really exposed me to things like, not necessarily tarot cards and things like that, but my mom in a lot of ways was my sensei. She would tell me things like, if a what she would say, psychic or clairvoyant, if a seer in our language, has anything to tell you, they will tell you, and they won't ask for a dime. They will seek you out and they will tell you. Don't give them any information, because there are many people who are playing at this. I'm like, okay. My mom was not a seer, but she had powers. Um, and I see her as my great archetype, and I always have uh, her in guiding me. So she was my spiritual. So my mother went to church. My father um, was, as I said, he was an atheist. So the story goes, I was never baptized because my father objected. He wouldn't have it because he was an atheist. Now, my mother was a former Catholic, and so that's a whole other story there with my family. But she was, when I was born, I'm not sure what she was doing at that time, but I think she was a Rosicrucian. Um, and by the time that I had memories, I remember her taking me to some Baptist churches when I was young. I liked the singing, but I didn't like the yelling, and I didn't like the whole evil hell thing. And then she started with Search of Scientology, Science of the Mind. If you don't know what it is, you might want to take a look at it. It was popular in the 70s and it's really fallen off, but their philosophy is really beautiful. It's one of the philosophies on earth that I've been drawn to and thought was reasonable.